I didn't really plan to do this video, but I feel like I have some things to share from the past year and everything that's happened in my personal life that has made me realize a few things. So it's coming up to the anniversary of my dad's death next week. And since my dad died, a lot of things have shifted in me, especially to do with life relationships. And yeah, I feel like it's opened my eyes to a lot of things. I've always been close to my dad. I've always been close with my family. Anyone who knows me, I've always been very close. My dad and I didn't always get on growing up. As you can imagine, I'm heavily opinionated. I ask questions, and from a Nigerian background, that doesn't always bode well in the household, especially as the eldest. I would always ask certain things, and my dad and I used to butt heads a lot. We had a great relationship. That sounds like we were fighting all the time. We had a great relationship, but we did used to fight or argue, because I would say something, he'd be like, because I told you so, and I was like, that doesn't make sense. But we became especially close when I moved out, when I bought my own place, and we've always had a good relationship growing up, but he became my best friend. And so kind of losing him last year, I'm not afraid to say I was heartbroken by it, but it taught me a few things. A couple of years ago, my cousin, who's like a brother to me, it was his surprise 30th, and I was doing a show. I'm an actor, so I do like shows in the West End and stuff. And I couldn't be there for the surprise 30th. And I've always been very ambitious, very career orientated. My career's gone very well. I'm very grateful for the success that I've had in that. But this was the first time where my career took precedent over a family thing that I wasn't happy about. And I actually would have much rather been there. And I'm going to get onto the relationship stuff in a minute. I know I'm waffling at the moment, but I'm going to get into relationship stuff in a minute, because this is all leading up to it. And that was the first time I started to question, sacrificing everything for your career and ambitions isn't always what's fulfilling. And there are so many of us who are super driven and ambitious, which is great. It's great for the economy because we become really good contributors to providing value to the market. But at what expense are we willing to sacrifice for it? And one thing the reason my dad has taught me is that it doesn't matter how much success you have. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how many followers you have. The thing in life that makes it worth living, the thing that enriches life, that adds quality to life, are the connections and relationships you have with people. Having all the money in the world, but no connections or relationships, you're going to be very lonely, and it's still going to be feeling very unfulfilled, because part of the human experience is connecting with other people. And how this ties into relationships is, I think we're so easy to give up on people, and we're so easy to walk away from people because we think there's something better, or because, I'm used to being on my own, so this is just going to make sure I'm on my own again, and I know what that is. But 50% of people over the age of 30 are going to be single and childless, or they are now. And that's a scary thought if you consider that connections is what makes suffering meaningful. And Jordan Peterson says it best: life is suffering, and life is suffering, but it is finding meaning through the suffering.
Life is essentially suffering, and I believe that to be a fundamental truth.
That not only makes it bearable, but makes us want to delve into the fire. An example I'll give is, I was shooting a film in Ghana several years ago, Coney. Those in Australia, you might have seen it in cinemas. And we were shooting this very quaint village in northern Ghana, Tamale. And the villagers there were so excited to have Western people there shooting this film and everything. And they were so happy. And these people had next to nothing. They had next to nothing. I mean, they had huts, which was made out of clay and straw. And then the clothes on their back were slippers. That was it. That was all they had. And they were happier than most people I knew back home in the UK. And I was really like, why? Like, what we earn in a week, they don't earn in a month or even a year. And they have little to nothing. How are they so happy and content? And it's because everything that they do has meaning, contributing to their family and friends, which is their connections. So they would have to walk several miles to get water. But then getting water meant that the people in their village and their community could have clean water that day. They had to spend hours in the morning getting the crops from the field. But then doing that meant that their family would eat that week. And so every action they had meaning towards a connection or relationship or the community that they were part of. And it made me think, out of the jobs that most of us do, because most of us don't do jobs that we're crazy passionate about, it's the truth. If you are, then you're one of the lucky few. But how much of that action actually contributes to the meaning of the connections that we have? And most of them don't. Most of them don't. You know, most of the things we do, I don't know, let's say you work in hospitality, you serving the person at the table, that doesn't contribute to your family or friends. Or, I don't know, let's say you work in finance, you making money for this, you know, big investor, that doesn't contribute to your family and friends. I mean, I guess it could contribute to your family because, I mean, if you do a good job, you get paid and then you can feed your family if you have a family. But then if you don't, what does it mean? Everything we do in life, we are either spending or investing. Investing means you're going to get a return, right? Spending means you're not getting a return, you're just spending. When we do something with meaning, that's an investment because the meaning provides the return. It enriches the relationship and maybe that person would do something for us. But I think most of us in the West, we live in a culture of spending. And we very much apply this to dating and our relationships. It's, I'm going to spend this here because it makes me feel good right now. And then when the going gets tough, people let go instead of seeing it as, yes, I'm suffering this right now, but the meaning of getting through this means that we can have this together in the future. And this goes exactly for the same as why we choose to spend time with someone. Yes, I spend time with you every day, even choose to spend time with you in the days that I don't like to, or that I don't like you, because of the meaning of our future, that we build a foundation for a family, for kids, for grandkids, for the community that we're part of. And so the reason I want to share this with you today is because if you're going to take away anything, just add a bit more value to the connections you have in your life. If there's a friend who you haven't spoken to for a while, reach out to them, see how they're doing. If you haven't spoken to your parents this week, talk to your parents, call your dad, call your mom, because they may not be there forever. Mine's not, right? And that's not worries me, because I guess technically when I think about it, 200 years ago, people lived till they're 40, and my dad died, he was 55 when he died. So I guess he lived a good life by that standard, right? But nothing's guaranteed, and life is suffering. Life is suffering. But if we can find meaning in the connections provide meaning. And I think we can remember that when we're dating someone or we're having a relationship with someone and we're going through a rough patch or misunderstanding. And when we ask ourselves, if we can work through this and sort this out, what would this mean for our future? I think that really helps us to operate from a place of good faith. I think that helps us to operate from a place of not trying to one-up the other person and wanting to build a bridge, which is why I started this channel in the first place. So that's your challenge from me. Add a bit more value to your connections today, and not just relationship and dating, but your friends and family. And if you are dating someone, ask yourself, what does it mean to invest the time that you spend with them? What does it mean for you to do this for them? What does it mean for them to do this for you? And make sure that you're aligned in the frequency on that. So thanks for tuning in. I hope that helped. definitely, I'm in a moment of reflection at this point of the year for obvious reasons. And I just wanted to share my experience with you. So thanks for tuning in, and I will see you in the next episode. And as always, keep it slick.